Hey y'all, it's at Slaughter here with Rockets Round Robin. Um, and I want to start a new segment here that I'm going to try to bring to everyone weekly. Uh, it's kind of a general overview of what the team is doing on the year, how they've been doing the last 7 days, and then how are they doing the 7 days before that. I feel a lot of the discourse online is micro level. It's how player X is doing or how player Y is doing. And generally speaking, I think that I'm not saying those aren't helpful. I think they are, but I think a lot of times we're kind of losing the forest in the trees, so to speak. And I want to try to maybe help everyone and bring together some information here that kind of helps generally how the Rockets are doing on the year and what they've been up to recently and how that is changing from week to week and changing from even recently compared to how they're doing on the whole for the season. So again, I want to try to bring this weekly so that it's up to date. This is going live on December 11th before the Warriors game, the Cup game. So obviously a very important game. But we're 22 games into the season. We have a lot of data that we should be able to tell, at least see some trends and how things are going, and if the Rockets are doing things differently and what they're doing differently. And I think also it can kind of help explain, like, oh yeah, there was a hot shooting week, or teams were making a lot of shots that week, and this kind of can tell whether or not our fundamentals are there. And so I kind of want to break that down for you guys, and just try to keep it short, 10 minutes, and hopefully just provide everyone with some information. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball here. We can tell some things on the season. They're 16th, 112.4 points per 100, 109.4, which would rank 21st in the last 7. And before that, they were at 115.0, which was 15th. So I think that globally, we're looking at an offense that's probably been declining since the first couple of weeks of the season, getting a little worse as the season goes on. Some of that's to deal with competition, but as you can see, our true shooting percentage is one of the worst in the leagues. 27th on the year, 25th last week, 22nd the week before that, and right on down the line, 3-point percentage, not much better. Assists to turnovers and rebound percentage. I think that these are, I would consider these kind of the bellwether of our offense, both for good and for bad. As you can see on the season, the offensive rebound percentage is very high, first. And I think that if the Rockets are going to improve, you can kind of tell, right? So like last week, the last 7 days, which I think it was 3 games, the Rockets were 12th in offensive rebound percentage, and then their points per 100 dropped down to 21st. I don't think that's a coincidence. A lot of the Rockets' offense is going to be predicated on that. Now, Tari missed 2 games in that stretch, can probably account for some of the offensive rebound percentage that's been missing. But globally, I think I would rather see that number closer to 12th, and here's why. I think that if they're having less offensive rebounds, I mean, this is obviously percentage based, but the more shots you make, the less offensive rebounds you're going to have, and so that's going to fluctuate highly from week to week. I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination. The Rockets have been missing a bunch of shots, and we're getting a lot of offensive rebounds, and we're very good at it. It's not something we should take away, but I think that the more shots you make, overall, I think that the rebound percentage will come down a bit. Now, one thing that's interesting to note as well, I think particularly in regards to Fred VanVleet and Amin Thompson, Jalen, kind of all of our ball handlers here, our assist to turnover ratio is very mediocre. It was a little last 7 ticked up. I think the last game, the one without Fred, they actually got some more assists, but they had a lot more turnovers too. So it's interesting that we're kind of a little higher this week on that thing. But I point this out to say that the Rockets are one of the worst assists, if not the worst assist team in the league. We're very good at taking care of the ball. And as good as we are at taking care of the ball, we should be much higher than 19th on the season for our assist to turnover ratio. So, our guards and Şengün need to do a better job at getting people looks. And then on the other end, as with our 3-point percentage, true shooting percentage, our guys have to do a better job at converting. I think we've probably been a little better at getting guys open looks than we have at converting them. But all that is to say is that either, there should probably be an emphasis on that moving forward for the rest of the year. And I'm not even sure that all of this is, I think our 3-point percentage may go up a little bit as the year goes on. Fred is definitely below his average. He was below last season, which I don't expect him to replicate, but Dylan's probably shooting a little better than what he normally does. Jabari's starting to creep up. And I don't know if Reed's going to get more playing time, or maybe Şengün starts shooting a little better from the outside, and finishing a little better. Therefore, our true shooting and 3-point percentages go up a little bit. Whether Cam gets called up, and that helps in that regard too. So there's avenues to be able to at least incrementally make that better throughout the year, but I'm not sure that all that's going to improve drastically. But we can kind of see the trends, and it's fairly stagnant on that front. So it is what it is. I'd be interested to see. It's tough to say. Things are going to kind of maintain its stagnation, I think, until either a lineup change is made, or until someone has a new skill set, or we change the shot diet of people that are taking the most shots. Şengün starts shooting and taking and making more threes. That's obviously a different avenue. If Jalen gets to the basket more and shoots less threes, then that's another avenue. Fred, I'm not really sure he's going to finish at the rim better, but just makes more shots. That's another way. So all these things correlate, and I think a lot of the assist stuff will correlate to the higher our assist percentage, our assists go up, the higher our 3-point percentage is going to go up, and the higher our true shooting percentage is going to go up. So whether it's a chicken or the eggs, kind of thing, to be seen. As we go along in this journey, we'll have more data points to I might even make a graph. Honestly, I'm saving all these in a PDF, and I'm gonna at some point I think I am gonna make a graph and try to chart it for everyone to kind of see what the trend lines are. But we do this every week. We're gonna see some of the trends. Now, moving over to the defensive side of the ball, I think this is where it definitely, you can kind of see this is the strength of the group, which is to no one's surprise. But I think I chose some things differently in this because I wanted to make a point about how the Rockets operate as a defensive unit. Now, this wasn't all that surprising to me, but I don't really hear anyone talking about it, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. As you can see on the season, we're second in points per 100, 8th over the last 7, 20th, the 7 before that. Now, I was looking at that and I was like, I wonder why that was. Well, I try to grab things in order to, if I can't grab all the statistics and show you in a snapshot, and I don't want to bore everyone with a bunch of numbers at the same time. So I try to keep it simple, and I think using these tools we'll be able to understand what happened. So as you can see, a week ago, 114.7. It's a pretty drastic uptick. Teams were shooting 54%, but yeah, the Rockets were still 36.1 in 3-point frequency, which was first. Stocks about the same, and our rebound percentage was about what it normally is for the year. So what does that lead me to believe? Leads me to believe that teams probably just shot a little better from three that week. If we're at the rim, they just shot generally better than they normally would. And even though we were 20th for that week, given the fundamentals of our defense here, of the frequency of the stocks and the rebounds, I don't really think there would be a cause for concern. And then the next week, the data kind of backs that up, right? It kind of regresses back to our normal points per 100. We get better in effective field goal percentage. The 3-point frequency is even better. And stocks and rebounds, pretty consistent there. The rebounding was a little better. So compared to the season, I think last week is a little interesting. Again, until we have major lineup changes or, people start doing things that are different, all this may just be kind of stagnant as the year goes on. But, we have a game without Fred to kind of analyze, which is interesting to me. So our rebound percentage went up, which makes sense, right? You put in guys, you start Amin Thompson and you play him 30 minutes or 32 minutes. He's one of the best rebounders on the team. Even though we were missing Tari for 2 games, our rebound percentage went up. I think that's good. That's how you close out possessions. That's how you maintain the number 1 defense in the NBA. That's exactly the type of things that you need to be doing. I think my favorite thing of how we approach defense is the frequency, because teams can get hot, but if they're only shooting 35 attempts a game, they can only get so hot. Maybe they go from making 9 to 12 or 9 to 13. It's a 12-point difference, but the teams of old, you start allowing 50 shots and they go from 33% to 50%. Now you're talking about a 15 to 28 or 33 point swing, maybe even if things go really cattywampus and they start making a bunch of shots. So I think, the other thing that I think the 3-point frequency indicates to me is that the team is consistently sticking to the game plan, and they're even if we have defensive lapses, I wouldn't say it's to overhelping and to basically losing the integrity of the defense, which is a great thing. That's what great defenses do. So all that being said, these are I couldn't get the stocks. I'd have to go in and manually count where we were on stocks compared to the league. But what I can tell you, it's about average. And that is because the Rockets are, I think, the best block team in the league. I think, or second. They're like at 9 blocks a game, but they're only like at 5.5 steals per game, and which would be like second lowest. So, I think, the Rockets play a very conservative but aggressive at the 3-point line type of defense, and they really are about funneling everything to the paint. It's kind of the opposite, I would say, of how the Kings approach things, where the Kings are very strident about keeping people out of the paint, and they let people shoot threes. I think this is a good approach, generally speaking, for the Rockets. Now, if you have a guy like a Brook Lopez or Rudy Gobert or something, where you have like a traditional shot blocker, that the way that teams may be able to score on you is getting, if they can change that rim percentage, then they're doing something differently. But I don't think at the rim field goal percentage for most teams who don't have a shot blocker changes from game to game, but the 3-pointers do. So if you allow, if you keep it constant, what's going to remain constant, right? Like whether a team gets to the paint 50 times or 70 times, they're probably going to shoot, about the same percentage. But the 3-pointers is what's really going to escalate things. So I think it's a sound approach for the Rockets to be taking. I think as long as that 3-point frequency remains there, they're going to remain high up on the effective field goal percentage, where you see first, fourth, 13th. They're doing great work there. And I think you'll consistently see the Rockets on top of the defensive leaderboards, so long as that is true. And if Fred misses more time, or you get a couple more games sample, and we kind of can figure out how the defense looks with him. I know, arguments have been had about his point of attack defense, but we can get some more data about how that works, and especially how that works with probably our best defenders. Dylan, Shingun's obviously been very good for most of the year. Jabari's starting to step up there as well. So I think that overall, the defense is exactly where you think it would be, and as long as small weakness, they're a good rebounding team, but they're not a great rebounding team on defense. So I think playing Amin and Tari probably as the year goes on will help that, but to be determined. We'll see it when we see it. Again, this is to use. Both of these are going to be used, generally speaking, to kind of understand from a retroactive perspective about what's going on with the team. You can use it to make some predictions and all that, but I kind of want to analyze the data as it comes in, so that we can have a better idea of what's going on and what to expect, and we can see what if changes are made, how do they affect the overall system, the ecosystem of both the offensive and defensive ends for our Houston Rockets. So in any event, if you have any comments, please leave them below. If there's things that you think I need to add to these charts, I'm more than happy to take that under advisement, and we can see what we can work out. But generally, I want to keep it short. I want to keep it sweet. This one's probably running a little long because I felt like it needed some explanation as to generally what this program is going to be about. But until then, I'll see you next week. Thanks.